Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 6 of the season, coming to you today from Okayama. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me working the comms and the cams is Joshua Wilkie. Well, Josh, as we now near at the halfway mark of this campaign here in Season 2 of 2026, we head off to a track that is a staple of iRacing. Doesn't matter what kind of car you're running in. Could be a Formula V, probably not a Formula 1 car, although they did race here back in the mid-90s. Okayama, it's a track that everybody has some experience racing around on iRacing. It's a track that some people love, others just don't really have many strong feelings about. It may not be the flashiest racetrack in the world, may not be the flashiest venue for that matter, but the one thing this racetrack produces, well, two things in fact. It produces good drivers, so you can cut your teeth here in the iRacing world, and also produces some pretty darn good racing here in the Vs.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. This place known, throughout the Weekend Warrior, let's say, universe as a well-raced and well-loved racetrack. I think most of our drivers like it out here as well. So I think it should be a pretty good one. Again, this is one of those tracks where everybody knows it really, really well. So that can kind of come back to bite you a little bit when you're expecting things a bit, or perhaps even just having a bunch of pace, can actually get you up into the mix where maybe you wouldn't usually be, and it can cause some things. So we'll see. It races really good, lots of places to pass. Beautiful scan on this place too. It always looks really nice. So I think they're going to have fun around here, and I think we are going to have a pretty tight race around here as well. Again, knowing that everybody's maybe has this track's number and be out there racing each other a little more.
Yeah, and I think the only sort of worry that these drivers have outside of the somewhat menacing 11 turns around this place is the fact that they've been here so many times before. I always talk about the prospect of drivers feeling too comfortable at a racetrack. Whenever you're behind the wheel of a car, you always have to be a little bit worried, just slightly tense. It's driving a high-powered race car is not something that humans were designed to do. It's something that we love the hell out of doing, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that we as human beings were biologically designed to do. So even the stress that comes with it, you always want to be just slightly nervous behind the wheel. Not too nervous, because that's when the mistakes come around, but if you're too relaxed, that's what ends up being the case as well. Before we get too far into this, I want to thank Stephen Westcott for making this broadcast possible here of the Formula V Weekend Warriors. I want to thank Stephen, as well as the rest of the Formula V community, for making these broadcasts possible all season long here in the Formula V's community. Always goes above and beyond to get these broadcasts funded. And Michelle Lynn as well, always beating the drum on getting these shows funded before sometimes the seasons even come to an end. We already have everything taken care of for the next season. I also want to let you know that if you are interested in sponsoring either the Spec Racer Ford or the Formula Ford broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, you can by joining the SMB Discord server, getting in contact with Stevie Ray to make a donation to make the shows possible as well, or you can donate to I believe it's paypal.com/Ray Esports Racing. I'll have to get that link and post it in the YouTube chat before we're done here with this broadcast. Speaking of, we're already getting qualifying up and rolling, 8.5 minutes on the board. Here's how it stands right now. Tortullo is your current pole sitter right now. The only driver to break below the 150 barrier, Chris Montgomery, who we brought on board within the 33 machine, set to join him on the front row right now. Alan DeGassis is your provisional pole sitter in the Masters category, slotted in 5th, with a pretty big gap between himself and Antonio Reese, your next Masters competitor, down in 9th. And your Spec 2 pole sitter is currently Jason Grider. Scott Russell being marked off as a Spec 2 driver. Is actually Spec 1 based off the numbers. But do want to actually give a belated birthday wish to Jason Grider. I believe celebrated his birthday just about 24 hours ago. So hope that Jason has a good birthday. Hoping that we don't send a falling anvil his way. I know I tend to do that sometimes. I inked a good deal with my postal service, and I've just been able to send those out all across the globe for years now at virtually no cost to me.
Well, that's a good deal for sure. I can tell you, postage up here in Canada, sending things is more expensive than the package that you're buying for people a lot of the time. It's quite ridiculous. But on to another topic here. We have Nate Colascio, winner of last week's race by a hair. I believe it was 7 thousandths of a second, and then just behind him it was like another couple thousandths of a second. Pretty amazing outing last race there with a absolutely spectacular finish. You'll probably be able to check a little short that I put together actually of that one later this afternoon if you're tuned in to Slow Motion Broadcasting. And yeah, you did mention there as well, by the numbers, I believe Paul Corradici is actually an S2 driver, even though he does have an S1 number, so we have been corrected on that one, so that's a good catch there for sure. But Tortello out front, 149.8. Just behind him, Ethan Orr. I haven't seen him in a little while as either with a 149.8. Just behind him as well, so super tight up at the front. Chris Montgomery, we just had on our screens a moment ago there, just behind them. And just behind him, you're going to have Nate Colascio, last week's winner. Sam Chapman out there this week as well. We don't see him every round, do we, Ron? But when he is here, he does put on a good race for us for sure. It should be a pretty interesting one. He got a little bit kind of shuffled around last race there. Didn't have a chance really to really get in there. Maybe you'll check out that short later where you can kind of see how everyone sort of figured themselves out just before the end of that race. It was pretty darn spectacular for sure. But just watching Brian Hansen now in the 771, trying to figure out the lines around here. Very, very important to keep the momentum through this section here. Not an easy section to get right. You want to make sure you're getting on the power really early and using those exits to kind of finish off this lap and keep that speed for that final rip down the straightaway, where there's going to be some drafting, I think, Ron. I'm just working on the background, getting our points all loaded up here. We can get to that pretty soon, hopefully before qualifying is out here. But
and after I figure out that my microphone was muted.
There we go.
Yeah,
take over for a sec. I'll work on points.
That didn't happen at one point. So I was just gonna say, Sam Chapman came across a stripe to jump his way up into third. Looked good in the first two sectors. Was purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2, green in sector 3, and then yellow in sector 4. So I think he lost out on a boatload of time there at the end. Not looking like a good start to the lap for him either. He's currently heading his way off through the second sector right now. It does kind of irk me, the fact they're broken up into pretty much an arbitrary system by iRacing. So it's not 3 sectors here, it's 4. Sam Chapman, yellow in the first 2 sectors. So just a reminder to those tuning into this series or just tuning into one of these broadcasts with these wonderful SDK graphics for the first time. The yellow means that it is not an improvement on your personal best. Green means it is your personal best. Purple means it is the session best. So you can see that marked out right now. Martin Visser, currently green in the first 3 sectors. So the driver of the 444 machine may be looking to punch his way up the running order. He has to set lap time so far here in qualifying. So I think he's feeling a little bit tense as we get towards the end of this. Only about 2.5 minutes left to go here in this session. So time running after these drivers to get a lap time on the board. So we'll see who will be able to get a lap time in the final few breaths of this session. So if Martin Visser out there on the racetrack, I should have seen it coming. A falling anvil came down directly onto his head at 207.5 as he came across a stripe there. Sam Chapman pulls it out in the final 2 sectors to go up to the pole, just a hair over Tortello. 3 thousandths of a second. You know, last week we saw 3 thousandths of a second at the end of a race. Now we see 3 thousandths of a second at the end of qualifying.
Wow. Yeah, that's pipping it in there. And obviously, you know, having that free lap out there, just doing your own lap, this is going to be a close race. As I said, kind of in the lead up, you know, a lot of the drivers know this course really well. Obviously, Sam Chapman, Tortello, Ethan Orr, Chris Montgomery, Guido Marzucci all have about the same idea of how a lap looks around here, and that is going to cause us some racing out there for sure. So again, you know, like I'd like to say nearly every week, this is going to be about making good decisions out there with your competitors and making it to the end of this race so that you're there at the end, so that you can make a go for the win. Basically, you know, it's going to be side by side, and you're going to have to deal with other drivers until the end of the race, meaning you have to stay alive until the end of the race. And that's a little easier said than done sometimes, but we do have some points here. Maybe we'll get to our S1 points first off the bat here. Hopefully this will work out for me. Tortello leading our S1 class here with 489 points, 424 just behind him with Guido. Michelle Lynn in third place with 321, and then Nate Colascio just behind that with 321. Not looking too bad there in S1. Over to S2, probably my favorite category here in the Weekend Warrior FVs. Martin Visser with 302 in first. Stephen Westcott, our sponsor of today's race, not with us today that I've seen so far, with 301 points. Jason Grider just behind him in third place. I'll let you guys have a look at the rest of those, but still fairly tight there in S2 as well. We'll move along over to our Masters category, where we're going to find Jim Brewster up at the front. Been taking some pretty commanding wins in the last little bit here. Nick Tullo just behind him with 296. And then after that, we have Kurt Nunez in third with 273. So pretty close there as well. Let you guys have a look at the rest of those before we get into our race here. And that's not going to clear now because I forgot to clear it just before the session flipped over. And that's how SDK works. It likes to not allow you to do that. So we're going to try to clear that here with a quick quick reload. And then I'm going to pop the grid up for you, Ron. And here we go.
Yeah, the power of WD-40 can do some absolutely amazing things. Let's take a look at that starting grid. It's going to be Sam Chapman starting this race from the pole position. The Aussie in the 29 car getting the job done over Tor Tullo in P2. I always joke about Tor having multiple nationalities, pretty much. He was born in the U.S., raced in the U.S., started racing in the U.S., briefly lived in Japan, now lives in the U.K. and races in the U.K. and races with Japanese flag. I wonder if he's actually been here in real life. We might have to ask him that if he ekes out another photo finish. Hey, he lost down the pole by 0.003 of a second. We'll see if he gets the win by 0.003. Ethan Orr set to start this race in third next to Chris Montgomery in fourth. Guido Marzuki in the Fart Machine going to be hoping to step on the gas, heading his way throughout this race. He'll start in P5 next to Nate Colascio in sixth. It's an all-Masters row number 4 with Alan DeGassis next to Jim Brewster. Antonio Reese will be alongside Angel Soto, completing your top 10.
Yeah, and then Brian Shazinski will be in P11. In P12, we have Parvinder Ladar, our Masters driver of Kurt Nunez, will be in P13. P14 is Michelle Lynn. P15 is Scott Russell. Joshua Justice is in P16. In P17, Ken Poulin. P18, Jason Grider. P19, Brian Hansen. P20th, we have Rafael Boli. In P21, we have Paul Corradici. In P22, we have Nick Tullo. P23, Wayne Buttermore. P24, we have Martin Visser, and I believe there is a couple more drivers here. In 25, Andy Middleton, and P26, we have Gary Kittle, and that'll round out our field.
Yeah, we were told a couple of weeks ago it's Gary Cattell. So
Cattell. Sorry, my bad. It's going to take a while to learn that one. I've been saying it wrong for so long. Cattell. Like Harvey Keitel. Like that?
Yeah, see.
Sort of?
I remember a couple of seasons ago when we were officially corrected after calling 2 championships for him like this. We were informed that it was not, as we called him, Thor Tulo. It's Tortello. Right. So it's just those small little things. I do appreciate these drivers who respectfully correct us with our pronunciations. We're broadcasters. We're running in a constant state of flight or. I nearly said flight or flight. That is kind of fitting of the brain of a broadcaster.
We're always running away.
You either want to get away or you want to get the hell away. Exactly. But these drivers going to look to try and get away because this is going to be potentially a crazy start. Lap 1 in Okayama can produce a little bit of carnage.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, there's going to be a lot of jockeying for position. You kind of want to lead, maybe into this corner. So. It's going to be one of those things where you're going to have to try to kind of put your foot down here early, and that can cause some problems early. So we'll see who kind of comes through T1 first and who has that commanding lead, and then who can hold it. But this one's going to be pretty interesting here as we're about to get our race start. Sam Chapman and Tor Tullo leading us to our green flag here. Looks like they're going to wait for it, and it looks like they are waiting for that flag. So he's not going to jump, is he, Ron? He's waiting.
Yeah, he's waiting for that green flag to fly so we can get rocking and rolling here for round number 6. The green flag flies, the drivers are on their way, and Tor Tullo gets chewed up and spat out heading down into turn number 1. Fantastic start, though.
Oh, Montgomery Colascio.
Ignores a wrecking big time. Colascio coming to blows with Chris Montgomery, and a driver vaulting over the side of Montgomery's race car into the runoff area. I think Jason Grider may have been collected in that incident. I know there's a meatball flag for Jim Brewster. Drama breaking out heading down to turn number 1, but we're still not even done with the first sector of this lap. It's Sam Chapman leading over Ethan Orr. It's Tor Tullo now holding on to third, looking to make up some time after a horrendous start by his standards. Joshua Justice now trying to get some moves done, primarily on Jim Brewster in that wounded 933 machine.
Yeah, a bit of a frenetic start there for sure, as we're seeing drivers trying to figure themselves out. Still have Coliseum Montgomery in the background there, so no terminal damage as of yet for those two drivers. But looking up front now here, Sam Chapman looking up the inside of Ethan Orr. Tortello definitely losing out on that start, but not out of the game here at all quite yet. Joshua Justice, as we saw back there, making up some positions, I believe, in the beginning, so keep an eye on him this race to kind of move forward a little bit. But this front pack now starting to kind of sort itself out a little bit of gappage happening behind. But man, that is a long line of Formula V race cars there, starting to spread out here on our first lap as Sam Chapman leads us around the track for our first lap.
As we keep an eye on our front runners to see how things may develop, I'm going to keep my eye on Jim Brewster as he pulls over to the side to let some drivers go by and allow himself to come into the pits. Other drivers involved in that incident, Parvin Ladar picked up a meatball flag, and Andy Middleton did not take the start of this race. He's currently slotted down in P25 as it stands, but breaking at the Serpentine, heading down the start-finish straightaway. Ethan Orr not able to withstand the pressure from Tortello. Is now on the outside, going to get that move done. Punch out hole shot into one. He's going to be first on the brakes, and that's going to allow Tortello to slip right back past. So second once again for Tortello in a wild start where everybody has had some sort of drama go down, including Montgomery, who's holding on to P15 at the present moment. There's 4 drivers who are running in the exact same spot that they started in. Sam Chapman, Tortello, Ethan Orr, and Michelle Lynn.
Yeah, we'll have a look here at this incident at the beginning, and it looks like Coliseum and Montgomery getting into each other there, and Parvinder Ladar going over the top, not waiting for that one, went over the top. Unfortunately, he got caught up in that one, but that pretty much took him out of the race. I think, unfortunately, he took the most damage out of all of that by the looks of it. Tortello now looking up the inside of Sam Chapman, Ethan Orr just in tow, Guy Marzucci just behind that, and then a side-by-side battle between, I believe that's Soto and DeGassis fighting each other there as well. Brian Szynski just in the background, and then just behind that, the next pack leading that would be Joshua Justice. We'll see if he can't make some headway here and catch up. Kurt Nunez just behind him. Two good drivers there. I would imagine they kind of work together a little bit and see if they can't make it closer to the front. But let's have another quick look maybe at this one, Ron. I'll let you have a quick peek at it here.
I jinxed it with Michelle. I said that she was running in the same spot that she started in, and then a falling anvil just came down. There's the contact heading into turn number 1. It's just a matter of seeing an opportunity to go side by side and really start to battle in there. And Parvin Ladar getting collected in that and vaulting over the top of those cars. I wonder who it was doing their best monster truck impression. It was Ladar in that 3 machine. Unfortunately, the Bada Bing car, he Bada Binged his way off into the gravel trap and is now out of this race. As we have side-by-side racing up at the front, Sam Chapman, Tortello squabbling now. This is starting to get intense, and that's going to be Chapman holding off and remaining in the race lead as Tortello slipping up a bit. Ethan Orr now going to try and get a move done as they head their way off through the Mossess into Atwood curve of turn number 4. This is one of the oddest turns around the entirety of this racetrack. Kind of an open hairpin in a way that opens up as you head your way through it, as you head your way up the hill as well. Very odd turn, especially in these Formula Vs with about as much power as the blades inside of a dishwasher. Now Sam Chapman gonna get chewed up and spat at, hang down the back straightaway. First it's Ethan Orr, then it's Tortello, 3 wide racing down into turn number 5. Who's going to be the bravest in the brakes? Who's going to be the one to get to that apex first? It's going to be Chapman holding his own there. Ethan Orr still stuck on the outside. Guido now sticking his nose into that as well. And Tortello feeling a world of pressure. Thankfully for Tello, he'll hold on to the inside all through revolver of turn number 6. And in a revolving door of a battle for this podium and for your spots inside the top 5, Angel Soto, who's now up 6 spots from where he started in this race, has just been able to punch his way up into 4th.
Yeah, I made a great kind of opportunistic passes there from Soto. Definitely, you can see him kind of working his way through the pack in the hot dog flavored car there. Moving forward now, I believe in 4th place, so not doing too bad. Sam Chapman really holding his own out front here, not allowing anyone to waver around behind him at all. He's definitely kind of put a foot down there that he isn't going to just open the door and allow you to go through it. In fact, he will close that door in front of you and make sure that you don't get through it, as Tortello now going to have something to say about that into T1, I think, here. He's going to try to perhaps get the double here. Not going to quite make it around Sam Chapman, but does make it around Ethan Orr, into T1. Maybe we'll have a quick look here, actually, at exactly how Angel Soto got this one done here. He's going to have a pretty opportunistic moment here. He's behind Guido. He's got a bit of a double wide happening in front of him. He's going to be able to just kind of get up the inside of Guido there. Man, that's going to sting Guido. I know being, in that position, you never want somebody up the inside of you in that particular corner. And when somebody does, you basically have to give it to them or risk a very low percentage move and high percentage accident, most likely. So Guido doing the right thing there, kind of allowing him to have that move in that moment. And then he's going to come back here, looks like on the straightaway, see if he can't get that one back, as we're looking too wide at the front. Ethan Orr going very wide there to have a look around the outside, see if he can't find something opportunistic. As Soto actually taking a look up the inside there briefly. So, wow, it's getting pretty racy up front there, Ron. Nobody's quite happy to be where they are. This looks fairly momentum-filled, though, so they're not losing too much time yet.
And, you did bring up a good point there a few moments ago, Josh, talking about the way that you've got to battle around this racetrack. It is a matter of picking and choosing your fights. And not even that. It's more so picking what hill you really want to die on. Because if you can't do that, you're going to fight every single time a battle starts. And then when that goes down, you're probably going to find yourself upside down in the gravel trap with pants full of excrement. I think is probably the best way that I can sum it up. But thankfully, these drivers have been able to keep it smooth for the most part, side by side once again. Tortello, Sam Chapman hang down into turn number 1.
Not going to give it up.
Still able to hold on. I got to say, Tortello, he's tried many, many times, but Sam Chapman has been able to withstand the pressure time in and time out. This has been fantastically composed defensive driving from Sam Chapman, and it keeps putting Sora in some very odd situations. He's stuck on the outside line in turns where he don't want to be on the outside, like this turn number 4, for instance, as Ethan Orr now got to try and stick it down the inside. Tor nearly runs off the track. I thought he was going to hit that small little patch of gravel and just skates off of the circuit. Now he's in third. Ethan Orr going to be the first to pull out on Chapman, and then you can see the pack behind. We ride on board with Guido, not getting the front row seats to that 3-wide racing, but he would be right there to pick up the pieces in case these drivers absolutely detonate themselves. Ethan Orr trying to rip it on the high side, not able to make it work. Tortello, who's stuck in the middle, able to make it work, though, side by side with Chapman, and gets the place heading through 6.
Yeah, that was some great driving from everybody, staying off each other, keeping that momentum up, you see, as well, Ron. All 3 cars kind of beside each other, 4, 5, 6 cars all around and beside each other. Didn't really lose a whole lot of time through there. They're allowing each other to kind of make passes. Even if they do kind of get a little bit stuck up mid-corner and stuff, they're sort of allowing each other to have the space and the respect, basically, to stay on the throttle. That's kind of what it's all about, really, is when you're going into a corner with a group of drivers and you're second-guessing, if this person is going to give you the room or not, or if they're going to, get through that corner quickly the same way you do or not, then you hesitate and you lose time because of that. These front drivers up here are so comfortable with each other that they're just not doing that. They're staying in the throttle when they need to. They're taking those maneuvers when they need to take them to keep that momentum up. And that's kind of what we're seeing, is we're seeing this lead, or the pack behind, actually kind of start to drag away a little bit, as we did lose Joshua Justice. Not sure what happened there in the backpack, but now we have Chris Montgomery sort of leading that next pack. Joshua Justice has been kind of pushed down behind, so we'll have a quick look shortly here and see if we can't figure out what that is. But this lead pack here, all the way back to Brian Szczynski, 8 cars in a row. Kind of anybody's game so far. They are starting to kind of pull ahead a little bit at the front. The wheat is being separated from the chaff a little bit here, slowly but surely. Tor now leading, Sam Chapman just behind him, but lots of racing still to be done here, and this momentum that they're showing here all together as a pack, pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, this is brilliantly composed racing. Look at that pack. That is madness as they head their way down the back straightaway. Thought that was going to end in tears between DeGassis and Marzuki. I thought they were going to make contact. They now single file out right behind Tullo and Chapman, though, side by side. Second verse different than the first, as Chapman was now on the inside line, but unlike Tullo, able to get that move done into 6. It was this time Chapman able to make it work into 7, but now it's still not over, and the small little crackle down flat out front, heading down into turn number 8. I thought that Toro was going to once again fight back. He did fight back briefly, but wasn't able to punch out into that race lead once more. We right on board with Guido Morzuki, holding on to 6th right now, still trying to apply that pressure to Alan DeGassis, but these drivers have got to be a little bit nervous. That gap just in their battling briefly tipped over the scale to be over a half a second. So they've got to be very careful. Any more hard battling like that, and they could easily lose sight of those drivers farther up the road. And Dan Sasinski pointing out something important in the YouTube chat. Chris Montgomery, he is right there. I mean, he's only a second and a half back, but considering how hard these drivers are battling, that second and a half gap could pretty much disappear in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, absolutely. He's traded there. Joshua Justice used to be kind of the lead of that pack. He's no longer is. Now Chris Montgomery is, and yeah, that's exactly right. He's kind of just back there making up time slowly but surely on this pack that is fighting up here. So not too long, he should be at the back of this pack and have a little bit of competitors to fight with here. Let's see what he can't make happen after that incident at the beginning. Unfortunately, qualified really well, got up really close to the front here today. Definitely had the pace, but got knocked out of it really early here as we're going to fan out. Everybody kind of looking not really going to go 4 or 5 wide. Don't really have the stamina here quite yet to do that, as we're going to unfortunately lose Soto on the outside, and the number 55 hot dog flavored car there is going to get the short end of the stick on the outside of that one a little bit. I believe they're trying to stay off each other there. As good as they can. Maybe clamp down on him a little bit, maybe drift it a little bit high on that one. We'll have another look, but that's going to shove him back down now towards Chris Montgomery. Perhaps actually those two can kind of team up now and move forward together. I wouldn't believe that's going to be the last time we see Soto this afternoon, but maybe we'll jump back in our pack a little bit here. Have a look at Joshua Justice here, who's actually battling with Ken Poulin. Not exactly sure what happened to Joshua Justice here. I'm looking through my ticker, and I don't really see anything glaring out at me that looks like an incident or not. I do have a pass here where Montgomery got by him. We'll see if maybe perhaps something happened here when Montgomery went to make a pass, or perhaps Josh went a little wide. Yeah, it looks like maybe he's having some kind of an issue there on the outside. A little bit strange. I don't know if he just put himself in a bad position, or maybe he had a little something at home there. He's dealing with some hardware issues or something as well, but looks like he's back in it now nonetheless, Ron.
Yeah, so it's still not done yet. We've got a lot of racing left to go here for this event. Not even at the halfway mark, and we've already seen a lot of twists and turns. I fear that for Chris Montgomery, Angel Soto may not have been the kind of like guardian angel crashing through the window that he was hoping for. I think it's just a slightly bewildered deer that's blind in one eye, deaf in both ears, and I don't think is understanding exactly how many things they're crashing through and running into. 3 wide racing heading to, oh dear indeed. 3 wide racing heading down into turn number 5. Ethan Orr once again ripping it up on the high side. He's been trying to make that line work more often than not, maybe just hoping for Sam Chapman and Tortello to come to blows. I gotta say, Chapman and Tullo, 2 very quick drivers in these cars. Maybe it's just a meeting of giants that will result in some kind of shenanigans going down here. I don't know why I've all of a sudden reverted to 19th century diction there, but I think shenanigans are fixing to take place.
Well, I don't know. I'd go for some more, but I got nothing right. The bee's knees or something? I don't know. The front here. It is the biz, isn't it? Sam Chapman at the front here, Tortello, and then Ethan Orr right behind him. So, these are 3 really fast drivers who could easily take the win here today. I'm excited to see, now that we have Ethan Orr back, just exactly how this one pans out. The number 22 kind of sitting back there looking on at these 2 front drivers. We haven't seen him in a little bit, but he's clearly got the pace today. He's clearly got a little bit of patience because he's not up front really diving in here yet. We still have, we're just halfway now as I look up at the timer there, just hit halfway in the race. So it's all to play for. He does have a little bit of a bent nose on that car. That really does look like a piece of, what do they call that stuff? Caramel corn or something? No, what was it called? Those little, forget what they're called. You get them in for Halloween. The candy that I never eat, that I always throw away. This was a candy corn. That's it. It looks like a candy corn. Not my favorite candy in the world, but a very fast race car, the 22.
See, I'm not sure. There's not enough like LMP3 and LMP2 drivers that are tuning into these broadcasts, so I don't think they'll try and give me some sort of diagnosis here. Ever since I got my root canal done on one of my molars a couple of years ago, my tooth has been incredibly sensitive to chocolates. Whenever that's Guido Marzuki again sent off. That was contact with himself and Alan DeGassis, and Guido again popped up like a diesel-powered pogo stick.
Oh no, Guido getting the short end of the stick in the fart machine here. Had such a good run in the last little while, but he's going to look, it looks like the 927 just floating out a little bit wider than expected there on entry. You see he kind of locked it up and ended up a bit wide. Guido's going to get the short end of that one, but not really take any damage in that car, so he may be able to make a bit of a comeback here. We do still have half the time left, so it's all still to play for, but yeah, back in 9th place, going to be a little bit difficult here. Perhaps he can team up with the drivers behind him or in front of him here and make up a little bit of time. But Sam Chapman still leading with Tortello just hounding behind him in the number 1 car. The 22 still looking on. Looks rather content to kind of stay where he's at the moment here. So we shall see how this all works out. But DeGassis getting up the inside of, I believe that was DeGassis up the inside of Antonio Reese Miconio in the background there with Dan Trzynski looking on. Looking on as well. We haven't spoken much about him, but in 6th place, holding his own today very well with this pack also all to play for him in that green 84 car as well. So doing a really good job up there too as we're going side by side again here with the 29 and the number 1 into that sort of just kind of famous corner around here, like you were saying, Ron. Not this whole section here is a little bit difficult, and I guess there's a few famous corners on this track that I think we all know. I don't know, maybe more than we want to, or perhaps more than other tracks. We definitely seem to come here a lot.
Yeah, this track has now come into steady rotation in the Formula V Weekend Warriors world, which honestly I don't mind one bit. Funny little fact about this place, and I'm going to tread very lightly here because the last time I tried to share a fun fact, we saw Guido get sent to hell. This was actually the track that saw my first ever official Road Series win. I rarely, if ever, drive on the officials when I was still driving on iRacing. I don't think I've actually turned a lap in the sim in many, many moons. It has been quite some time. I think I've probably had a combined like 9 days off so far this year when it comes to broadcasting. YouTube, on the other hand, forget about it. I haven't had a day off since about December, but that's besides the point. But before I start talking about many more reasons as to why I got into sniffing glue, let's talk about this racing right now. We're getting into the final 12 minutes of this race. Sam Chapman and Tortello haven't really gone off each other's backs yet. They've just been constantly duking out. Ethan Orr has been tentatively getting involved in it, but he hasn't been sticking his nose into it more often than not. But there is a new competitor, 2 new competitors, shall we say, those being your top 2 in the Masters category of Alan DeGassis and Antonio Reese. Alan, he's quick in these Formula Vs. I think he has a real good shot if the cards fall his way. He could potentially walk away from this race with a win. I know he was in contention for an overall win a couple of seasons ago now at Phillip Island, but I believe a crash coming towards the line ended up having him stripped away of that victory, and I believe it was given to Andrew Love, who scored one of the last times we saw a Masters winner actually win one of these races overall. So keep an eye on Alan DeGassis as we get towards the end. If these top 3, though, blow each other up, which I can't rule out every single time they go 3 wide heading off into turn number 5, Ethan Orr, very odd cut back there, nearly turned himself across the nose there of Brian Trzynski, who's right there as well. Can't rule out Brian. He's going to try and get involved in this. And Chris Montgomery is there as Brian Trzynski trying to give a bump and run to Alan DeGassis heading off through turn number 7. That was unexpected.
Yeah, it was a little tap there, a little love tap. I don't think he was fully meaning to do that. That was more, I got to get on the gas right now. I'm trying to get forward here. DeGassis is kind of trying to maybe stifle his forward momentum a little bit, and they sort of met in the middle there, but he's going to get away with it in the 927 there, and so is Brian in the 84. Going to lose a position or two, unfortunately, after that pretty awesome run there for a moment, getting some really good pictures off the left side of his car. there for a few shots. But up front here again with Tortello leading us into T1. Sam Chapman looking fairly content to be behind him, at least for now, as Alan DeGassis is the only car kind of winging out to the side there, having a look around. I believe that is Mikonio again. So they're kind of back and forth a little bit here, but this is kind of our, closest battling here up on the track. Brian Hansen and Martin Visser are actually not too far away from each other here as well. We'll keep an eye on that little battle back there as well, and that's going to be for actually our S2 win. So back here we are fighting for position here with Brian Hansen, Martin Visser, and Scott Russell are all line astern here, and this is for position on S2, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this S2 battle for sure. This one could heat up definitely in the next little bit here, or before the end. As they're looking kind of back and forth here. Going to go up the inside, actually, of Brian Hansen here for the moment and have a bit of a drag race down this main straightaway. So it's kind of interesting, right? You see this happening up front here, and it seems like all the action's up here, but if you were in this little pack here, this is all that really matters to you. That's it. This is second place in class, and it's all to play for right here with the 444, and the 771 is going to win out on that one. Not going to have a quick look up the inside quite yet as we get into this technical spot, usually where you kind of want to stay line astern here and keep that momentum going. But we'll keep an eye on this battle as well, because I have a feeling it's going to rage up before the end, and a little bit of moving around here for, I believe that was Jasinski as well. So we're still fighting up here too. Lots of fighting going on.
Yeah, and I could see some dust kicked up in the air, and that was corresponding not too long after some things went down up here at the front. What kind of things were they? Was it the stock market going up and down? It tends to do that sometimes. What about the sun and the moon? No, it was Antonio Reese. He just dropped down to 9th. And we have seen some gaps form. Your top three have broken away to the tune of about 1.8 seconds between themselves and Alan DeGassis. So have the feeling that there was already a bit of a wedge drawn, and then it just started to get a little bit more hair-raising. Here it was Antonio Reese, Chris Montgomery side by side into turn number 6. There was the kick up of dust from Alan DeGassis right up in front, and then Antonio trying to sweep around the outside. Not able to make it work as he headed his way off through turn number 7, and then he just gets chewed up and spat out there. I wonder if he maybe missed a shift, because it looked like that car all of a sudden was just powered with like a high Siecto cooler heading his way down into 8.
Yeah, he really got hung out to dry on the outside line too, of at least 3 of those corners there, and maybe even the last 4th one, just kind of putting a nail in the coffin there at the end of it as two other cars get by him. You might be right. There was a little puff of smoke there, as if perhaps he may have missed a shift into that corner as well. As we're going to go 3 wide on the background here with Montgomery, DeGassis, and I believe that's Marzucci making his way back up into the pack here as well. So he's making some moves here. Going to have the inside line. He's going to be very, very timid about that inside line on the 927, knowing that is sort of the racing line, and if he takes it a little too abruptly, that the 927 may just end up on him whether he likes it or not. So that was some pretty good heads-up driving from Guido there as well. 927 of Alan DeGassis taking that lead of this pack here. Angel Soto fighting with Guido Marzucci in the back. I believe we have Montgomery just kind of looking on here as well with Dan Trzynski and Mickey Onio in the background there. As actually we look in the background, and it looks like Joshua Justice now catching up to this pack as well. So we could have, don't really have a lot of time to get that done anymore, but he's made a pretty good charge up to the front here from that little incident in the beginning. Not too bad. Montgomery having a look around that hot dog flavored car. Is he going to make the move into T1? I think he's probably got the preferred line here. He's going to make that one happen.
Yeah, every single time I say hot dog flavored, it gives me bad flashbacks. We'll continue on the candy discussion. We talked about the candy corn. We talked about my tooth sensitivity to chocolate. It's only that tooth that I had the root canal done on. That'll bite me on the hind end in about 20 years. And this was when we had to do state standardized testing back when I was in elementary school. And they handed out like little bits of candy once you were done with the tests. And that year it was lollipops. So I was handed a lollipop. It was a Dum Dum. Love Dum Dums. Fantastic brand. I used to collect their wrappers back when you could redeem them for something. Then they discontinued that right as I saved up a whole supply of them. I'd probably be able to start a fire with the amount that I had. However, because of that, they handed me a bacon-flavored lollipop. And let me tell you, I nearly ralphed in front of the whole class. I only did that one time. It was when I had vertigo in 2nd grade. And my dad pulled me out of class that day. brought me to Speed Raceway in Horsham so I could drive around an electric go-kart because I had such bad vertigo I couldn't be in the classroom, and I ended up breaking my track record by about 0.3 of a second. Taking a look now at some three-wide racing, Angel Soto in the hot diggity dog car trying to sweep around the outside, hang down into turn number 5 in the 55 machine. Not able to get it done on Guido, was able to stay alongside DeGassis as they headed their way down into turn number 6. Nice little battle going down there, so Angel Soto knocking it out of the ballpark here in this race.
Yeah, not too bad with the baseball pun there, working with the hot dogs and the baseball and the Angel Soto. It all kind of fits together there, doesn't it? And and Guido now making a bit of a break from this pack there with that move. So he's not totally out of draft range yet, that's for sure, but he's definitely got a bit of a gap here. So maybe Angel can use that to kind of close up that gap a little bit and pull away from his competitors, but still fighting pretty heavily just behind Guido here. As up front, Sam Chapman, Tortello still locked in this kind of same battle we've had from the very beginning here. Sam Chapman now leading Tor, with Ethan Orr just hanging out right where he's been pretty much this whole race as well. So we're getting into the wee hours now, Ron. I'd be starting to think about where I was going to get this move done, just exactly how I was going to do it, and who I was going to do it on. And I would imagine they're starting to build that picture in their head right now. Sometimes I kind of just let things ebb and flow. I just go out there and go, you know what? I'm just going to kind of see what happens in front of me, and if it happens in front of me and I can monopolize on it, then I'll take it. And if I can't, then I won't. And that's usually the way that I drive. Although some people would, they like to think I'm out there just trying to pass everybody all the time. That's certainly not the case. It's more of a, I'm going to kind of just see what happens in front of me, and if somebody's a little slow, then I'm going to take that opportunity and I'm going to try to do it. And I think that's kind of the best way to race most days. I like to try to pick up as many positions as I can kind of in the beginning, and then settle in and then try to just play ball. And that seems kind of what's happening here with our front drivers as well. They're going to keep that position to the end and then fight for it tooth and nail before the end, not battle too hard in between. Of course, one of the biggest pet peeves I think of any race car driver is getting caught up in nonsense battles that don't make any sense middle of the race with drivers that you shouldn't be racing with. And that's happens almost every race to almost everybody, but you have to make a bit of a career out of being able to get away from those drives and be able to get up front here like we're seeing with these three drivers.
Your top three, all three of them proven race winners here in this series. And Tortello, past champion as well. He's got that number 1 on his car for a very good reason. Your reigning champion here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, looking to try and go back-to-back. It would be, I think, about the third driver to go for back-to-back championships in the time that we've been covering this series here on SMB, at least when it comes to the Spec 1 category. It was himself winning 3 in a row, and then Felix Moa is going back-to-back, and then Tor looking to try and go back-to-back here this season. I think Sam Chapman and Ethan Orr may try and just give him a bit of a headache in terms of trying to contend for that win, but we know the kind of driver that Tortello is. He's going to look to try and go for it whenever the opportunity comes around. 4-pack of V's heading down into turn number 5. Who's going to win out in this little scrap? And maybe Josh Justice as he bangs wheels with Ken Poole in it.
Yeah, again, getting pretty spicy here in this mid-pack battle, fighting for everything left here in the race, I suppose. We've only got about 1 minute left, so we're going to be coming up on our last lap here, I think, pretty shortly. But it's been a pretty good one so far here. You can see on our timing tower where those close battles are, from about 8th back to about 11th, and then up front here with Sam Chapman and Tortello and Ethan Orr very close to each other still, so we'll be keeping a good eye on this one on our last lap here. Not exactly sure what the strat is, but you're going to have to figure it out pretty quick here, aren't you, Ron, as he's going to start zigzagging up the straightaway here, trying to break that draft. Not going to happen, not going to be too effective there for Sam Chapman as we're entering our final lap here. What can he do to hold Tor behind him, hold Ethan Orr behind him? Not exactly sure how he's going to make this one work out front. I'm not sure that's where I would want to be. You'd almost want to feign an incident right here and get in behind them again, but we shall see what happens here on our final lap, Ron.
Yeah, and the drivers head their way down into turn number 4 for the last time. Tor gonna try and give Sam Chapman just a bit of a headache. Maybe that's a deceptive tactic. I will say, if I was any of these drivers, if I had the choice, I would rather be where Ethan Orr is right now, holding on to third. He's going to get the strongest slipstream as they start to go side by side. Sam Chapman, Tortello, wheel to wheel, side pod to side pod, mirror to mirror as they head their way into 5 for the last time here in this race. Ethan Orr, he's always been looking for it around the outside, but not able to make it work as Sam Chapman going to be the first at the apex. Tortello not able to make it work, heading down into the turn. Meanwhile, a little bit farther behind, Alan DeGassis, Josh Justice, Ken Poulin, Brian Szynski, and Antonio Reese still locked in their own little fight. So I thought that was nearly going to end in tears as they crested their way over the hill for the last time here in this race. Keep an eye on the battle throughout this field, but up at the north end, Sam Chapman heading his way off through 8 into 9 for the final time here in this race. Sam Chapman, the 29 machine, has been able to put together a fantastic defensive drive. He has led more often than not, even though he has been constantly hounded in a track that's not only hard to try and hold on to the race lead, it is hard to try and just stay around here alive. But Sam Chapman gonna head his way onto that start-finish straightaway and taste the winner's champagne. He's gonna win it here at Okayama.
Yeah, and that's a good win for Sam Chapman out front. You can see Tortello celebrating for him and with him there as well. Good racing, and I'm sure it's exactly what he wants to see. Guido Marzucci going to win out in this pack of drivers here as well. Let's get our timing tower back up here as we can see them coming across the line. And we're going to get, Alan DeGassis is going to win in our Masters class, and just behind that in S2, we're going to get Scott Russell is actually going to take the win in S2. So great driving from Scott Russell. Bit of a mix-up in the pack back there that we must have missed there. Jason Greider, Brian Hansen as well, going to come home second and third in S2 as well. Bit of a crazy finish there. Hard to keep up with everybody, but so close up at the front. And Sam Chapman going to take the win today in the S1 class. So good for him there. Be able to hold Tortello off. Excellent stuff.
And now we get to see the Crash 'em Up Wreckfest hang down to the runoff area of turn number 5. Every single time we head to Okayama, it just feels like yesterday that we were here with this series. It's always a little bit odd. It's like, man, we were just here a couple of weeks ago, even though it was, back last season. But let's take a look at some of these replays of the end. We had some very, very close quarters finishes farther behind some of these racers. We'll start by taking a look at this one between Alan DeGassis and Josh Justice. Close nose to tail as they headed their way out of the final turn onto the start finish straight away. You can also see Ken Poulin, Antonio Reese, and Brian Szynski, their own little scrap right behind. You can see that photo finish right up in front, but look at that.
So
that
close,
very close as well between Szynski and Antonio Reese. Antonio just getting the nose at there. There you can see the margin between both Alan DeGassis and Josh Justice for that battle for 7th. 62 thousandths of a second, and then 31 thousandths between. No! I had a bad feeling about that. I was gonna say 31 thousandths between Antonio Reese and Brian Szynski, but I got a bad case of whiplash looking at that. Look at that nose of Sam Chapman's car. That's so sad.
You have those little half spins, so you can't quite get her to loop all the way there, so it can only do a bit of a half kick to the side and then out, but he's trying as hard as he can there, and I love to see it. You got to get some smoke at the end of these races for sure. So good win on Sam Chapman there. Looks good on him for sure in the Vermilion Esports outfitted machine there. Good job today, Sam, and we'll be celebrating with him here shortly in the booth, but maybe we can get to our results from round 6 at Okayama here, Ron, and then we'll get to some interviews. What do you say?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. Let's take a look at these results. Sam Chapman, what in the world is he doing there right behind the graphics? He's up on 2 wheels. Is he just up on... he's one wheel's
grinding
up in the
it into the wall.
It's like a dog lifting up its paw trying to shake your hand. I'm not going to ask any more questions because it's just going to lead to more questions and answers. Sam Chapman, though, there's one thing that is assured, and that is his win here in this race. Tortello ends up in 2nd. Ethan Orr will round out your podium in 3rd. Guido Marzucchi is going to end up in 4th. From Chris Montgomery in 5th. Angel Soto will walk away with a P6. Finish in front of Alan DeGassis, your P7 finisher, winner in the Masters category here today. Josh Justice will be in 8th in front of Ken Poulin in 9th. Antonio Reese will round out your top 10. Brian Szynski will be classed in 11th at the end of this Oh, pardon me, at the end of this race, Curtin Nunez is in 12th. Scott Russell is in 13th. I believe Scott Russell is actually a Spec 1 driver based off the number 122. Jason Grider, though, we know for a fact is a Spec 2 driver. Maybe a belated birthday gift for him, ends up in 14th. It's either P2 for him in the Spec 2 category or potentially the win. I know some, as of recent here in the Weekend Warriors, there has been a change to a Weekend Warrior driver metric system. So it isn't just solely off of the numbers. But I remember the first show that I did way back in March of 2023 with our old pal Tim Cox, who is actually my colleague for my first ever Formula V Weekend Warrior show way back in June of 2024. He told me about the other numbering system, and it's stuck into my head ever since. Brian Hansen ends up in 15th in front of Wayne Buttermore in P16. Jim Brewster ends up in 17th after some drama in that race. Martin Visser is in 18th. And then the rest of the field, drivers who ended up getting struck by a falling anvil before the fall of the checkered flag. Oh, Jackson. Yeah, I was expecting that wrecking hanging down into turn number 5. Wayne Buttermore, he ballparked it.
Nice. We're going to have to get a replay of that one.
Your final results were Paul Cordes, I'm not even Paul in the number 4 car. It's a slightly Italian name. I don't want Guido to kill me tomorrow. Michelle Lynn was in 20th. Parvin Ladar in 21st. Nick Tello, Rafael Boli, Nate Calisio, Andy Middleton, and Gary Cattell. Around here, 27 cars. Let's look at this from Buttermore.
Whoop, and he's gone.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Oh, I had a bit of a coughing fit there. Sorry, everybody. It made me laugh a little too hard. Yeah, well, he's going to ballpark it. You don't get to see that every day. He got a good ramp off that one for sure. Just immediate ballparkage there for Wayne Buttermore. Did we get through all these yet? I was distracted by all the crashing.
Yes, we did. I ran through them just going through the live timing.
10-4.
The results there, but outside that ballparking moment from Wayne Buttermore, something I've expected for a while. We have some drivers looking to have a chat with us here at the end of this broadcast. So, Josh, I think we'll get the festivities up and rolling by having a chat with our race winner here in this event, Sam Chapman. Gonna grab the W here. We'll drag him in, have a little chat before we wrap things up here on this broadcast. Sam, welcome in. Congratulations, my friend, on the win here. It's been a long time coming. You've shown a heck of a lot of pace so far this season. Finally break through and grab that W. How was it out there at Okayama?
Yeah, thanks, mate. That was a lot of fun. We had a great tussle there with Thor, and it was. I just sort of decided to do a bit of a different strategy tonight and back the pack up and play a bit defensive, and made for really good racing. So he raced, always really clean up front. So yeah, it was good fun.
Yeah, it looked like a really good battle. I want to ask you about your thoughts on this track. I feel like it's the place where everybody starts their iRacing career. It's either like here, Summit Point, or in my case, it was at Tsukuba. Everybody knows this place kind of like the back of their hand. It's one track, though, that some people love and others absolutely despise. How do you like this place? It's a unique ride on iRacing, ain't it?
Yeah, it's a unique ride. Like it's it's got those long straights thrown in as well. So there's definitely some slipstreaming that you can do, but the corners at the end of it don't necessarily mean that you're going to be ahead afterwards. So it does create, a bit of intrigue from that perspective. It's a good little track and everyone knows it. I mean, obviously you've got a bit of an update, in the last few seasons where you've got curbs that attack you a little bit more, whereas you used to just, drive straight over them. It's a good little circuit, and everyone's done it before in the V's, so it makes for some good racing out there.
Yeah, the curbs of a slight sadness here, but speaking of slightly sad curbs, next time out here in this series, we're going to be running at Aragon on the motorcycle GP layout. The curbs around there either teeter-totter between being completely flat or absolutely awful. I think with the motorcycle GP layout, though, there may not be any anti-cut curbs of doom. But that's still an odd racetrack, one that I personally never really been able to get a good feel for. It doesn't get used on iRacing quite a lot. It's one of those tracks where you can tell it was designed for motorcycles. But what are your thoughts heading to that place for round number 7 of this season next time out?
Yeah, I think you're right. It's an interesting track, and definitely the anti-cut curbs would not go well in a V. It's one of those tracks where you need to know where the off-track limits and all that sort of thing are, because they love to throw in a bit of a slowdown here and there. So you think you might be able to go a little bit wide or something like that, and they get you. So it usually puts on pretty good racing. You might be able to get 3, 4, maybe even 5 wide at Aragon, so it could make for an interesting battle. But does that moto layout, do you know if that has like the really long back straight, or whether it is it's cut off with a chicane here and there?
Oh, that is a very good question. Let me stall for time here and just mutter a little bit of dross as I try and look this
I'm
up.
trying to careful.
Yeah, I was looking up the ovals. I was wondering why it won't pop up there on my iRacing UI. Aragon on the motorcycle Grand Prix configuration is going to be running the shortened back straightaway. It has the little like 12, 13, 14, 15 section in the middle of it, right as you head your way kind of out of the bend. And it also has that really long sweeping final turn.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that sweeping turn will be interesting because you'll be able to go side by side. But yeah, that little, chicane-esque section, that will, I think there'll be a few scuffles throughout that. And I think there's a couple of slowdowns straight into that as well. So I think it'll be a good race still. People probably won't know it as well as they know this track. It'll be an interesting combo comparatively, but should still be good.
And I just looked up the national layout of Aragon. Thank God we're not racing there. That looks like an angry tapeworm. But Sam, before we let you go and celebrate this race win here, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Oh, well, thanks guys for putting it on, and all the races for putting up with an Australian with a bad ping who's low on sleep. I guess the team back at home, so the Vermilion Esports team, they're not out with me today, but they're out in spirit. So, thanks all.
There you go, man. Well, hey, Sam, thank you for joining us here in the booth, and go catch up on some Z's. I don't even want to know what ungodly hour of the morning it is for you.
You don't want to know, but it is 6:01 a.m. I got myself an hour and 15 minutes sleep after getting home last night, so that's fine, huh?
Good job.
Yeah, actually, final question. What energy drink of choice was it used for this?
Mate, we're just high on life this morning because I have to go back to sleep afterwards, so...
Hey, man, fair enough. We'll let you get some rest, Sam. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time out.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
And that right there was Sam Chapman, our race winner here. A small little brief tangent here. Discord recently brought out an update where it'll say that somebody was in the chat. So the ghost of Sam Chapman's Discord profile is still in the booth with us. But
Sam Chapman was here?
Sam Chapman was here. It's always very sad. But Josh, I'll pass the mic off to you and ask who you would like to have a chat with.
Yeah, let's grab Ethan Orr, bring him in here. It's been a little while since we've had a chat with him. Doing a pretty good showing today as well for Ethan Orr out there. Not too shabby. Let's grab him. Oh, and there he is. Ethan, we haven't seen you in a little while, but really good showing today here at Okayama. Is this, are we going to see you back in some more races here, or was this just kind of a one-off for you?
Hey, thanks. Yeah, glad to be back. It was a ton of fun, and I'll try and make them to, all that I can. It's been a bit busy for me, so, no promises, but I always love racing with this group, so whenever I can.
Excellent. Right on, man. So Okayama, it's a track that we kind of all know, pretty well. We come here fairly often in our various series. When you're lining up a race like this, how are you thinking going into it? Is this a track that you know really well? And if so, is it something you just have to kind of show a little bit of restraint out there and just kind of go with the flow? Or is this a place you just try to get pointy and get up to the front as quick as you can?
Well, it kind of changes throughout the race. I know the track really well. I actually hopped in the practice session for the race, and that was the first time I'd really been on iRacing in the past few weeks. So you just get right back into it. But yeah, in the beginning of the race, the first half, we were on that mega pack and being super aggressive, and you just have to be pointy or you're just going to fall back into the pack. But once we got that gap to Alan, it was all about just going with the flow. Tor and Sam Chapman were really working together well to build the gap, and I didn't want to, insert myself into that and break up their mojo. So just kind of sticking behind and, letting them do all the work for me, I guess.
Yeah, excellent. Some great insight there. That's kind of what I would be thinking as well. I think in that scenario, and it looks like it worked out for you pretty good there, too. Being able to pull a second place here, going into next round. I forget exactly where we're going. I had it memorized earlier. Where are we going again after this round? Aragon. That's right. Aragon's out next. Is that one you're familiar with, or is that one going to take some practice this week to get up to speed?
Definitely some practice. I don't remember driving it in the V. I've been there in some other cars, but yeah, really unfamiliar track for me. I'm sure it'll be fun.
Yeah, that should be a pretty interesting one. I believe we have a couple more similar. I think Phillip Island's on our roster by the end here and everything as well. So we still have a few more rounds to go for sure. But great finish today, Ethan. Is there anybody you'd like to thank here before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the league admins and stewards for putting this on. Without them, we couldn't race like this. You guys for the broadcast. It's always fun to watch them back and share them with friends and stuff. And all the viewers at home.
Awesome. Thanks, Ethan.
Michelle
thank you
for the setups.
Oh, and Michelle Lynn always for the setups and for the adminning. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Always good to get some kind words from the drivers there. We love putting these things on. So hopefully we'll see you out for some more races this season, Ethan.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you around.
And that right there was Ethan Orr, our P2 finisher. Let's have a chat with yesterday's birthday boy and our winner in the Spec 2 category here today. It's Jason Grider now joining us here in the booth. JG, first off, happy belated birthday. I know you celebrated your birthday yesterday. And well done on the Spec 2 win out there here at Okayama. How was it?
It was hectic. The first couple, as always, right? The first couple of laps. A lot of dodging and weaving to miss people, zigging and zagging, some people say. And we had a good race. We settled down. I settled down and got behind Scott Russell and just followed him because he's faster than I am, and I needed to catch up. We just managed to catch up, and then Brian and I think it was Martin Visser were fighting and tangled a little bit, and so at that point we were right there to pounce a little bit. Scott got ahead of Brian, and then Brian had a moment in Redmond, I think, and caught it. It was a beautiful save, but I was able to get past him here and hang on for the next few laps. So, it was a good race. Good race.
It looked like a fun time out there. I was going to ask what your thoughts are about this place here at Okayama, considering that this track has been on a steady rotation of the Formula V schedule, but Dan Szynski wants me to call you an old man in the YouTube chat, so I'll ask for your thoughts on that first.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of mad. Where's Dan? He didn't show up today. I mean, I'm sure he has a joke. I'm sure he's got a great reason. But yeah, it was. I am old. Thanks. I still have 11 years before I get flipped up to Masters. That said, yeah, I love this track. I hate it and I love it. It's just there's no in between, and it depends on where I slide out and lose time. And that lap, I hate it. And then if I can hit all the marks in the right spot, hit all my breaking points, I absolutely love it. Because it gets really fun at that point. But it's a thin line in places on this track between being up a tenth or being down 3/10. I don't know. It keeps you honest.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a fine line that you have to run around this place to get the max out of it, but you're able to do that, grab the Spec 2 win here today. Next time out there, we're going to be running at Aragon. That track is truly one of the tracks of all time. What are your thoughts heading there?
I've never seen it. So it's going to be an adventure for me. Much like the Bend was earlier this year, there's going to be a significant amount of learning that has to take place. and hopefully I can find a couple people to drag me around there for a few laps and kind of get me up to speed, or at least up to a speed, because getting me up to speed is impossible apparently. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. We're looking forward to it. There's always a challenge and always a wild card when we start throwing in new tracks.
You know, I was going to make that comparison to the Bend a little bit earlier on this campaign, but I think the Bend feels a bit more reminiscent of a actual racing track for cars than Aragon. That is just such a motorcycle-y track. I mean, it's got its own little flair, but I think I've done probably 4 broadcasts there in my entire time doing this stuff. And so it's definitely going to be a venture off to the unknown for everybody. That track guide that I do on the show may have to be enunciated extra well so the viewers will actually know exactly what they're looking at throughout that show. But Jason, before we let you go and celebrate this win, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs.
Always, I have to shout out my family and for just giving me the opportunity, time and space to pursue this silly hobby, and supporting me through that. A shout out to Michelle Lynn for an excellent setup here. It's actually the same setup I used last week at Mid-Ohio, and it's just comfortable. It's not too comfortable. It still keeps you on your toes. You don't fall asleep, but it's pretty decent. Shout out to Michelle again, and Stevie and Jim for all their hard work, all the stewards in our group. They do an amazing job keeping everybody honest and nipping things in the bud, as Barney Fife liked to say. And then I got to shout out Scott Russell again for just dragging my slow butt around and helping me catch up to the rest of the S2 field after all the combobulations on lap 1. I'm sure I'm leaving people out, but that's okay.
There's so many times thinking about some of these
You
broadcasts
guys,
where I'm
I have to.
Hey, there it is.
Retired. There it is. I remember. And then I have to shut you guys out. I always go back and watch all the races, even if I don't participate. And even if I do participate, I'll go back and watch it. And sometimes, I made this notice this last week and the week before. There's so much action on the track and so many good races that happening in all over the field. You see a lot of it, you see most of it, but there's some just epic things y'all can't pick up. And I highly recommend that people watch you guys through the race, but also look at the results and see some of these races are close, and they're close every lap. And there's just too much to miss. If you like your racing close, get here, join us on the Weekend Warriors, and yeah, just hang out, see it. It's awesome. So it's fun to be a part of.
Awesome. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jason. And we always say that our job is basically like having to be like a chameleon looking at 16 different things at once. It is, we always try our best to cover all of the action. I think we do a better job than some other places do.
Oh, absolutely.
Spot.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't do that, actually. I work over there. But Jason, thank you for joining us here in the booth, and we'll see you next time out, Aragon.
Awesome. You guys have a good week.
Thanks, man.
And that right there was Jason Grider. See, I can make that joke because I pretty much only broadcast there sporadically nowadays. Here's the thing. They're well-produced broadcasts, but it's not nearly as fun as the fun that we have here over on SMB. Josh, I think we had a lot of fun throughout this. This was a pretty fun one. I think Okayama, it presents that good little blend between like really draft heavy stuff, especially down that back straightaway, but enough tight and twisties to really keep these drivers on their toes.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like we're saying in the run-up, Okayama's one of the best racing tracks probably on the service, and it never seems to disappoint with the Weekend Warriors here and with the Formula Vs. We got another really, really good one today. Some good points there. Us trying to keep up with all of the action out there. So much good driving, so much good action on SMB each week. It's difficult to keep up with, and we have a whole bunch of stuff coming up in the next little bit as well. Spec Racer Forge tomorrow at Mugello. I'm actually sponsoring that one, so that one is on me, guys. Really looking forward to Mugello tomorrow. Not going to be an easy track. It's going to be a tough race, so make sure you tune into that one. Should have a pretty big field for it. And then we're off to F4s on Tuesday, Suzuka GP. That will be me and Ron are back together there. I'll be producing. Ron will be on the mic with, I believe, Tom O'Gorman as well at Suzuka. That should be a good one. The F4 clan just getting faster and faster these days. Races have been great. F3 the next day in Miami might be the first time, maybe the second time I think F3 has been to Miami now, so that should be a pretty interesting one. And then we're back Formula V's at Aragon next week, and of course we do have the Grand Prix Tour coming up on May 4th. That's going to be one round before their final round. That is going to also be broadcast here on May 18th, and the one on May 4th being at Portimao. Make sure you don't miss that. Great racing from the Porsche Cup cars there with no assists on. And then we have a bunch of other stuff coming up here too. I believe, actually, Ron, by the end of the month here, we are going to be having a special event put on by, if I can get to the actual flyer, we have the Sergeant Adam W. E-Step Memorial Scholarship Race, and that's going to be in GT3s. Great charity putting it on. I believe Mr. E-Step himself has been putting this on for years. We're really happy to be a part of it. 90-minute race, May 30th. You can use those QR codes here to donate, to watch, and to join up. If something doesn't work there for you, there is a link in our chat as well here, or in the description as well. You can get a hold of us at the Discord to be a part of this. Please make sure to sign up as quickly as possible here so we can get our rosters going. There's going to be a lot of racing and a lot of very, very cool paint jobs out there as well, so make sure you tune in for that one. But Ron, we do have a couple more things coming up tomorrow. I think you're going to be on air again for the SRS. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, the Spec Racer Ford's going to be super, super fun. Mugello, that's a track that when it was first brought out to iRacing, it is in a very exclusive club of content on iRacing that I purchased immediately after it came out into the software. It is an absolute stunner of a racetrack. Quick as well, so the Spec Racer Fords, I think, are going to turn that into a NASCAR-style super speedway race. So I'm really looking forward to it, and hopefully all the viewers will be as well. Again, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. But we've got a good one all throughout the week in Mugello. Going to be fun, along with Aragon next time out here for the FEs, and we hope to see you all then. But that's this broadcast here for round number 6 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here at Okayama. That will just about do it. Our thanks once again to Stephen Westcott for sponsoring this broadcast here on SMB. And if you'd like to sponsor the Formula Fords and the Spec Racer Fords, you can join the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server, get in contact with us so we can point you in the right direction to make that amazing FF and SRF action possible. But for round number 6 of the Formula V Weekend Warriors, that will just about do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's show, I say thank you all so very much for tuning into the action on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.